fix in space, face fix. They're kind of related. We were coming into dock with the space station Mir. On my first flight, we used the Space Shuttle Atlantis and the Canadarm, the big Canadian robot arm, to build a big Russian section on the top of the shuttle and then drive the whole shuttle up and dock it with Mir, with the Russian space station, and then leave it there. And it's sort of like driving up in amongst all these pieces hanging out of the ceiling. There was big sections of Mir that hung down. But we had to dock really accurately. Our target was about as big around as a coffee cup. So you couldn't be left or right any different than that. We had to dock at exactly 1/10 of a foot per second, plus or minus 3/100ths of a foot per second. So if we were a little bit slower than that, we'd bounce off and then drift away and have to think about why we messed up and spend a whole day. And if we docked just a little faster than that, we'd break Mir and kill the guys on board. So we had to hit it just right. And we had a 2-minute window to dock in, because it had to be over top of the Russian station so they could send commands up and down. So it was really tight tolerances. We got to 30 feet away, and one of our laser sensors said we were at 20 feet, and the other laser sensor said we were at 32 feet. And we're going at 1/10 of a foot per second. And for those doing the math, that's 120 seconds, which is 2 minutes, which is all the window we had, and we didn't know how far away we were. And it's not as easy as it sounds. How far away from the ceiling am I? Am I talking about that light? Am I talking about part of this post? Am I talking about this cross piece, that cross piece? Mir wasn't just one thing to measure 32 feet from. So it was really hard to know even what the truth was. And we had one chance. So my job was the guy providing distance and speed to the commander, a guy named Ken Cameron. So I didn't know what to do, but I said, well, looking at the camera view, I know that the docking module is 15 feet long, and I know the top of it's 3 feet across, and so if I just take my thumb, that's about 3, that's about 15, okay, do a bunch of those thumbs. I think we're about 22 feet away, Ken, so I need you to push thrusters in about 15 seconds. Okay, now. And then I just kept wagging the distance until, using my wristwatch, as we closed in faster and faster, or at least closer and closer, and we ended up docking at exactly 1/10 of a foot per second, about 3 seconds early, and it was completely done by eyeball and the length of my thumb and my wristwatch. So yeah, that's what we did on board too. So it was a problem we were faced with that we fixed. Yes, young lady there.
You gained a lot of publicity by being very prominent on places on social media like Reddit. Do you think you've set a precedent now in the future?
The question was, it gained a lot of prominence or popularity by being on social media like Reddit, and did that set a precedent?
Or do you think it will?
Oh, do I think it will set a precedent? I mean, people need to do what's important to each of them. Not everybody's the same, of course. Not everybody in this room uses social media the same way, naturally, and not all astronauts do. Some are not interested in it, some are. For me, the opportunity to fly in space is really rare and really magnificent. Like, the way the world, you can see the world, and what it means for us. You know, 13 years ago this month, we left Earth. Since November of 2000, we've had people permanently on the space station. There's been an American living on the space station every single day since November of 2000. That's an important thing. We left our planet. Exodus has begun from Earth, and we need to have people know about it and show them what it's like. Show them what they're paying for. Show them what we're doing up there. And as an astronaut, I just thought it's critical that I invite people on board. Show people what we're doing. And on my first 2 flights, we were really technology limited. But now with social media, I could take a picture, and within, you know, I got some great pictures of Chicago. Nighttime pictures and some daytime pictures. I used the longest lens we had on board. I got pictures where you can see the shadows of the buildings. Just beautiful pictures. But I could take one of those pictures of Chicago and put it in my laptop, and within a couple minutes, tweet it not only to anybody in the city that was interested, but everybody around the world. And I wasn't saying, buy NASA. I wasn't saying you need to buy my product. Instead, what social media is, it's an invitation to share. It's like, hey, look, like opening the door, saying, hey, you can look at this if you want to. It's totally up to you, but we got some cool stuff in here, and you're welcome to look. And that's really different. That's what social media brings, as opposed to advertising or regular media. And as a result, millions of people chose to come on board and have a look through Reddit and Twitter and all the other sites. And a lot of the other astronauts are doing the same thing. Luca Parmitano, Karen Nyberg, who's up there now, is taking some beautiful pictures. And there's a launch in about 3 hours. There's a Soyuz launching this evening with Koichi Wakata, who's a classmate of mine, a great guy from Japan, and Rick Mastracchio and Mikhail Turin. And we'll see. I think Koichi may be really suited to taking a lot of pictures and sending them and sharing it with the world. But I think it's important because if you're young and you're trying to decide what to do in your life, it's important if you see all the possibilities that exist. And someone sometimes needs to show them to you and to realize that that's a possibility that exists. That one of the things when you go down the hall to see the guidance counselor, one of the career options is spaceship commander. That's a motivating thing. And I really felt an obligation as an astronaut to use that media to help people see that. And I'm glad so many people came along for the ride. Yes, sir?
Do you think we'll ever go to the moon again or manned flight to other planets?
Do I think we'll ever go to the moon again or manned flight to other planets? Of course. Of course we will. That's like saying in, 1593, do you think we'll ever go to North America again? Or 1493, the human pattern is discover that something exists and then send a probe. And the probe might be Mariner 1, or the probe might be Voyager, or the probe might be Columbus, or the probe might be Apollo 8. But send a probe to go see, and go see what's there. Is it worth going? Is it habitable? Shackleton and the people that went to the Antarctica 100 years ago. Is it worth going? What's there? And how hard is it? And what technology do we need to go? And then, once you've decided, yeah, that's a place worth going, then you start using the best of your inventions to go learn more about it. A mixture of robots and people, of technology and people. And then, once you develop the technology, then you start moving there. And that's how we sailed across the Atlantic. We had to invent